hour before we record the
You look down and
podcast.
go, holy crap, it's been an hour and a half. We haven't even started yet.
We don't want to do that.
It was over 2 hours, and both of us went out to get another cup of coffee, and our wives almost identically said, you haven't started yet?
We're like two 80-year-old ladies. Well, have you talked to the grandson this week? And yeah,
We're terrible.
Really awful.
We could talk for England and America till the cows come home.
Bullet points real quick. What I was going to ask you about the British Supreme Court saying that men are men or women are women. I do have a clip. I think it's from one of the newscasters over there talking about the decision, and it talked in circles to me. So I was going to see if you can make sense of that.
Oh, I'll help you there.
Okay. Then I was going to ask you about Keir Starmer, see what you think about him. JD Vance, I saw your great thing on JD the other day. It was like, it's great. He was taking pictures at the
Vatican, which is he was the Sistine Chapel. He was taking one of his people took a blurry picture of him, and the thing is, if you've ever been there are signs everywhere saying do not take photographs, do not take photographs, do not take photographs. And he was just like, oh, you just had to go and do it, didn't you? You just had to.
I love it. But JD is kind of one of those people that here in America, at least people on our side of the aisle, we kind of like him because he's brought himself up out of nowhere. And but he still has that kind of that rough redneck part of him. I think.
I mean, he did himself no good when he said to Zelensky, "Why aren't you wearing a suit to the White House?" I mean, just keep those thoughts in your head until later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stop.
A lot of people on the national stage should do that. Absolutely. Anyway, we'll play it by ear. I do have let me see that clip from that news, and then I have got your thing from Katy Perry that we'll end up with, and then Richard's got some extra stuff, so we'll let him.
I just had the one thing that's really bugging me about what they're doing over there is how do you have any free speech without having somebody knock on your door? I mean, all that stuff of if you post they don't like it's like, what in the hell is that all about? And where are they getting all the communist a-holes that are in the police department that seem to have great joy in arresting people over what they posted? It's like, what the
I know, yeah. I mean, that's the whole Keir Starmer thing. That's sort of the two connected, because he's he's one of those, I hurt my feelings, you go and arrest them because they posted nasty things about me, and I'm a prime minister and I can't have nasty things. So and the police would rather go after people like that than go after hardened criminals, because obviously it's a lot safer to knock on somebody's door and say, don't write that anymore.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Let's just save that, because that's good. We need to rip Keir Starmer a new one and talk about his lack of testosterone or something. So
100%. He doesn't. Yeah, go on anyway. He doesn't even know what a woman is, and that's why it went to court.
And how's Nigel doing in the polls? I like Nigel.
Oh, Nigel, where? Well, the thing is, everybody used to hate Nigel Farage because it was like, oh, he's a racist and he's this and he's that. And he's like, at the moment, the only one talking sense about immigration.
Absolutely. And we got the same kind of thing with Trump. They hate him, but even though they all talked about immigration on the other side for years, and all of a sudden somebody actually does something about it, and all of a sudden now there's like everybody's clutching their pearls. So.
or other things that they can't talk about because
well, that's true, because they're they them is why. All right, here we go. Well, this is going to be segment 2 and 3, so we will make it sound like we're actually know what we're doing. We're going into segment 2. All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2, and we are recording this for the YouTubers out there. We have special guest, as promised, Charmaine Davies, one of our favorite people in the world. We have back on the show. I think this is the 4th time you've been on the show. Is it 4?
I think so. It's always a joy though to chat to you guys. So thank you for having me back.
Yeah. How's is it actually starting to be spring-like in the UK right now?
Oh, do you know what? I can leave the house without a coat now. I know, isn't it a miracle? It's a miracle. I'm not holding my breath that the weather will last, because you know what the English weather's like. One
Right, it's
minute
only
will be
April.
like 100 degrees, and the next minute we'll have hailstones and lightning. So, it's always leave the house with your sunglasses on and a coat just in case.
I know you've had some. If you don't follow Charmaine on her social media, you need to do that. Find her on social
Oh,
media
hell
because she
yes.
posts not only the funny things, but she posts some great sunset pictures out of her apartment. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's like we don't get sunsets like that because we don't live on the water here.
Right.
But it's gorgeous. Some of
No, I'm
the
very lucky where I live. I mean, I'm looking as I speak to you right now. I'm looking over Brighton Beach, and it's a beautiful sunny day, which is bizarre actually, because the beach isn't that busy at the moment. But anyway, perhaps they're all out shopping. It is a Saturday.
yeah, you would think though. Yeah, you would think that all the pink hairs would be out there and.
They burn too easy, so
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they've had to lather up with the 50. Yeah. Oh gosh. Hey, I was going to ask you about the British Supreme Court. They just came out with something that said that they're men are men and women are women. I mean, is this something we've known for a couple thousand years now? Or is it what?
Well, you would think that it was common sense that men are men and women are women, but then we have all the trans debate. Now, I've known trans people for, I don't know, 20, 30 years or whatever, and I've always respected them, admired them and everything. The ones that I have known over all those years have never tried to impose themselves and say, we're women. We need to do what you do. We need to do female sport. We need to go to female prisons and all this. My friends have never done that. They've appreciated that they're very fortunate to be able to change and transition. However, now we seem to have a generation that want to eradicate we're all women. And here in England, I don't know if you saw on the news a few months back, Keir Starmer was asked by an interviewer, what is a woman? Now, you would think he would know because he's married to one and he's got a couple of children. So as far as anatomy goes, I'm pretty certain he knows how women work. But he couldn't answer the question. He could not answer the question. He was like, yeah, well, this is a difficult question. And I'm not really. And it's like, how is this a difficult question? As you say, for centuries, men are men and women are women. And I'm not saying that trans people can't be trans people. If you want to wear a dress and call yourself Sheila, that is up to you, really. But do not try and eradicate real women and say we're more women than you are. The real reason why this had to go to court was to prove a point.
Yeah.
Really. And to a normal person like you and me, it kind of goes, well, I thought that was just fact. Men are men and women are women. But then it's all, but trans rights are human rights. Of course, everybody's got human rights. But now they're going, well, our rights have been taken away from us. Well, as a human, no, your rights haven't been taken away.
No.
As a human being, the only thing that we are saying is that you're trans, you're not a woman. And people may hate me for saying that, but a fact's a fact.
Yeah. You either have the twigs and berries or you don't. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just the facts, folks.
When it comes to something when your own prime minister can't actually, and only like as soon as the court ruling came into play, suddenly Keir Starmer went, I always knew that women were women. Yeah.
Now it's safe he can say it without getting.
He's just like some of the people on the left here in the U.S. too. It's like whichever way the wind's blowing, this is my opinion now. So it's all good. But there was a news story, but and you do agree with we totally agree with you. If you want to wear a dress and call yourself, I don't care if you want to call yourself a crocodile. You do you. I mean, but you cannot tell me that I have to call you a she, or that crosses that line. You call yourself a she all you want, but if you've got a 5 o'clock shadow and you're really not really working it too hard, I mean, I'm going to be like, dude, and I need this or whatever. If you're working at a store,
I think the problem as well was that they in the news here. I don't know if you heard about it. There was a guy. He was a rapist, and suddenly he got caught, and he went to court as a woman. Going, but I have to go to a female prison. I have to go to, and Scotland was going. They're sort of a totally different government to ours, but they were going, well, men should, if they identify as women, should go to women's prisons. And it's like, are you insane? You want to send a female rapist to a women's prison because now he's got a wig on with a pair of fake boobs?
Well, I mean, if you're in the mind of a rapist, where else would you rather be?
Yeah. Yeah, the people
like,
are going, but he identifies as a woman now, so he has to go to a female jail. Are you people insane?
I
There
think
was
that's
one
happened
jail in
quite a
the
bit here,
Yeah,
right?
there was one jail in the States that did that, and all of a sudden there was a rash of pregnancies in women's prison. It's like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just
Apparently, the old twigs and berries were still working.
just like the old Wuhan thing. It's like,
Yeah.
well, there's a COVID, a novel coronavirus that broke out near a novel coronavirus lab. It's like a break out of chocolatey goodness through Hershey, Pennsylvania. Who'd have thunk it? I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
it's just such insanity. But there is a news story that came from I don't remember what the outlet was, but anyway, he was trying to explain the Supreme Court decision, and it seemed like circular reasoning to me. But I'll see if you can explain it. Hang on.
A judge at the UK's highest court today has said a woman is legally defined by biological sex under the Equality Act. He also said the same law gives transgender people protection against discrimination. So what does this mean? In terms of concerns around single-sex spaces like female prisons, rape crisis centres and female hospital wards, transgender people with gender recognition certificates could now be excluded. For Women Scotland, the campaign group who took the Scottish Government to court, welcomed the ruling, and the UK Government says it brings clarity and confidence for women and service providers. What about campaigners who've expressed concerns around protections for trans people? Well, the Scottish Greens say the ruling could remove important protections for trans people, but the Scottish Trans Charity says not to panic and warns against overstating the impact of this decision on trans people's lives. The Scottish Government were arguing that trans women with a gender recognition certificate are legally women, while For Women Scotland argued that sex is determined before birth. The Equality Act provides protection against discrimination for those with protected characteristics, including sex, sexual orientation, and gender reassignment. Trans people still have legal protections against discrimination by virtue of the gender reassignment protected characteristic in the Equality Act, which includes all trans people.
Okay, I almost had an aneurysm with that. I don't know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
caught
it's this unless it's this, but it might
first
be
3
that
seconds.
unless it's this. It's like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
with him the first
I got confused as well. Even I was what now? What they're trying to say basically is that women, biological women, are women, and the trans rights are still there. I mean, you can't go around terrorizing trans people. Basically, that is still an offence, and it is a hate crime. So you can't go around terrorizing them, going, "Oh, you're." Of course not. As I say, let bygones be bygones. Let people live how they want to live. You don't have to terrorize somebody because you don't want them wearing a dress. It's not your life to judge somebody. However, the problem. The trans people now think that everything's been taken away from them, and they're now going to be vilified in the streets and have stones thrown at them and everything, which is not the case. They still have, it's still classed as a hate crime if you bully or you troll or whatever somebody that chooses to live a different way. That is still going to be a hate crime. So they are still protected in that respect. No one's saying that all their human rights of protection are going to be taken away. That all they want to do is just say women are women, men are men, but trans still have human rights.
just like everybody else.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like you can't attack somebody because they're homosexual. You can't attack somebody because they're of a different race or a different religion. I mean, it's like everybody's protected anyway. I mean,
yeah. And I think it's basically the backlash is because they do want to be classed as real women, which, how's your prostate exam going to go, really? So it's like I say, I've got trans friends. I don't have a problem with it. They've never sort of tried to belittle me and go, well, I want to use your bathroom and me. And all it at the end of the day seems to be is about a battle of bathrooms. And at the
it's kind of the same here, right?
Residencies at the Gray Bar Hilton. I mean, they want to.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about that. Yeah,
the Gray Bar Hilton. That's prison.
Oh, okay.
And I can see you going, what? Yeah, no, that's
a lot of bars in Brighton where I live, they have unisex toilets, and a lot of universities now have unisex toilets. So
a lot of stores here that will have like a family bathroom, which is unisex, and then they have everything's still separate. But then again, there are some stores now they've gotten rid of all that, and they just have 2 unisex bathrooms, and it's very hard to find. At least in my area, you don't see that very often. But I would imagine places like New York or LA.
And a lot of the trans people are going, yeah, well, why can't we be in women's changing rooms or toilets or whatever because we're not rapists. Well, we're not saying that all of you are, but it's the minority. Exactly, it's the minority, as always, that have to spoil it for everybody else. Because there's always one rapist that will go in that toilet. And that's not saying that every single trans person is. They're not at all. But like that guy who suddenly stuck a wig on after he'd raped somebody and went, I'm a woman now. That's the ones that have ruined it for everybody else.
Yeah. Or the militant ones that want to get in your face and let you know that they're trans. And you have to, okay, just go on about your life. It's fine. Just, you don't need to get in my face. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I'm like, as in all the 40 theater productions, if I had a problem with gay people, I wouldn't have been in so many theater productions. I really don't care. Most of them, one of the best neighbors we had were a couple of gay gentlemen next door. I don't care. They were good people. That's all that matters. I don't care if you're purple, green, yellow, orange. I don't really care. If you're a good person, you're a good person, and that's all.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, and when I was growing up, I didn't really see any of that, but it was just over 40 years ago. I was on a bus in San Antonio, Texas, and there was somebody who got on a bus in high heels. I only saw from the back, and long hair, and the whole thing. Turned around, had a full beard, and I was like, going, well, that's different. I didn't see anything like that in my hometown.
That's
but
you can't make up your mind.
But who cares? Yeah. I mean, if that's what he wants to do, then that's fine. But I mean, he didn't go out, walk up and down the aisles, forcing everybody to call me a she.
Yeah, there is that one guy on Instagram. Well, I say guy, God, I'm going to be vilified for that. There is this one person on Instagram that identifies as a woman, and he purposely goes into restaurants, coffee shops, whatever. And they'll go, oh, sir, would you like, how dare you misgender me? And he's just basically known for causing trouble. And there's no need for it. You know, I mean, I remember when I was cabin crew for the airlines, one day I was doing the tea and coffee service, and this person had their sort of heads turned to me. I couldn't see their face. And I just went, oh, excuse, and they had very long blonde hair. And I went, oh, excuse me, madam, would you like a cup of tea or coffee? And they turned around and it was a man, right? And they laughed. And I said, oh, I do apologize. I'm so sorry. And that's all that needs to be done in any situation. You know, laugh about it and move on. It's not, you know, there are really worse things to worry about if someone's misgendered you.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Speaking of taking yourself too seriously, what about Keir Starmer? What a segue there.
Oh, you are so smooth.
I can't take that man seriously at all. I mean, this is what I say. I mean, first, you know, when the man who leads the country says, I don't know what a woman is, how can you have faith in him to know about anything else? And, you know, I don't see him as, he's not a strong leader. He's got a weak, whiny voice. And allegedly, not allegedly, it's probably fact, actually, during lockdown, he was having vocal coaching. This woman was coming to his house trying to teach him not to speak like that anymore, which obviously she's not the best vocal coach in the world, is she? If he still sounds the same. However, allegedly, it was having an affair. And he was the one that said if Boris Johnson was having parties during lockdown, he should resign immediately. Well, hang on, you were having vocal coaches. I don't think that was needed in person to person during lockdown. You're just as, quite honestly, as bad. Wow. And there's no change in his voice at all. So she's never going to get any, you know, ratings on TripAdvisor or whatever she's on. Check a trade.
Or Yelp reviews.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute, who's having the trip? I just want to.
But apparently there is trouble in paradise with Keir Starmer and his wife anyway, probably because she's upset that he doesn't know what a woman is. And but there's rumors now. He might come knocking on my door next and arrest me for this, but I don't care. Did you see the picture that came out the other day? The grainy black and white picture of him kissing a man, allegedly.
No, wow.
No, that didn't make it over here. I didn't hear about that one.
Google it. Allegedly, I'm going to keep saying allegedly, because I don't want to get arrested. Allegedly, there's this, well, I've seen it. There's a black and white grainy picture of someone kissing someone. And this is meant to be, I was going to say Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump. Can you imagine? It's Keir Starmer and Lord Ali, who basically funds Keir Starmer and gives him all this free stuff, which the country is outraged by. But anyway, going back to the point, it's this great, you can't tell particularly that it's him and Lord Ali. I mean, they can get clear pictures of the moon from Earth, but they can't get a decent picture of Keir Starmer kissing a bloke outside your window. It's incredible.
I've always wondered that. It's like, whenever there's an armed robbery or whatever, it's like the pictures look like they're from 1955.
Yeah.
We can see a pimple on a gnat's butt on the moon, and you can't. It makes no sense.
Yeah. So anyway, there's all this scandal going around about him, and I mean, he's just awful.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody that likes him.
Well, he's gotten so wishy-washy on. Well, I guess he's always been wishy-washy on things, and it's like, so now with all this other evidence you've kind of presented to us, like maybe his testicles never dropped. Maybe that's what we.
I couldn't have put it better myself, quite honestly. He's a very weak man, and I look at him and just basically I'm sick in my mouth a little bit when I see him. It's just awful, and I think what happened. The problem was the Conservatives in this country were not doing particularly a good job at all. And they've been in power for a very long time. And then everyone thought, well, we better get Labour in. They're going to do better. They'll sort this country out.
They found out what bad really is.
Sometimes it's better the devil you know. Do you know what I'm saying? Because Labour have come along and just crucified us with more tax upon tax upon tax. They're taking the heat fuel allowance away from pensioners, which actually, to be factual, is going to be means tested now, because there's a lot of rich pensioners that can pay their own bills. But now you have to go through a little sort of online thing saying, are you poor enough to get your heating paid for and all this. And there's a lot of, he hasn't done anything good for the country so far, I would say. I can't think of anything.
We jump back and forth here too. It's like just like you. It's like we go to the extreme one side or the other, and now they got extreme Trump, and everybody's all their hemorrhoids have kind of sucked back up into their bodies, and they're really all upset, and everything is it's kind of comical, I guess, when you zoom out a little bit. But I guess it's the same over there. So
we have the same immigration problems. I mean, it's unbelievable, the immigration situation of people coming over on boats, etc., illegally. And what our government has decided to do is put them in hotels. So we've got homeless on the streets that can't afford food and whatever, but they get neglected. Now the British people will get neglected, and all these people that have just come over illegally are put in hotels, and they're given houses, and they get free cars. Well, not cars, what am I talking about? That's an exaggeration. They get free money, they get phones, they get free doctors. And Scotland was even going to give them free travel on public transport. Oh. And why aren't the British people getting all this?
I know. Well, the mayor of New York.
Why does this sound familiar?
I was just going to say, it's the same thing here. The mayor of New York.
Yeah, one of these things sounds exactly the same as what's going on here.
Yeah, he was saying it was just a budget buster. They kept people in Texas. The governor of Texas kept shuttling a bunch of these illegal immigrants up to New York, Chicago, and everybody's freaking out. And the Democratic mayor of New York has just said, "I'm leaving the party," because everything he said there's no way he can keep up. So
yeah, I don't know how they're going to do. I mean, they had a boat that they were going to put some of the immigrants on. I don't know, they were going to shore them, put them on out at sea or something. But then they all went, oh, it's not suitable for them. And it's just like, they just come over on a boat anyway. What's the difference? This is like a 5-star hotel boat. Why are they complaining? But apparently there wasn't a nice gym in there, and there weren't televisions, and it's just like,
I'm just thinking, if it's good enough for Radio Caroline, it's good enough for anything.
Yes, exactly.
Well, hey, we're way over the break, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about maybe a little bit more about Keir, but we're going to talk about J.D. Vance and Katy Perry, which are two great subjects that everybody's on the edge of their seat about, I'm sure. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
Do you know how much salt is in your bowl, soup fans? Remember, an adult's maximum daily salt intake is 6 grams, and a kid's even less. So compare the labels on different soups and choose the ones lower in salt. Or perhaps try making your own. Go to eatwell.gov.uk. Salt. Is your food full of it?
The state of senior hunger is a sad one. According to Feeding America, because of this poor economy, seniors are experiencing food insecurity. They lack access to enough food to support a healthy lifestyle. This means seniors are at risk of not getting enough to eat. Many more are making tough choices between the nutrition they need and basic essentials, including prescriptions, paying for medical, rent, and utility bills. Hunger increases the risk of numerous health problems such as asthma, depression, and congestive heart failure. So please, check into your state or local food bank and volunteer to help or donate food today. Help those who are the most vulnerable among us.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 3, continuing our conversation with Charmaine Davies. And it just always goes much better than I even expect. So we are so grateful to have you here.
Oh, it's good to be here. Get it off my chest.
Yeah, and hopefully, Kira, if you're listening out there, just don't get upset with her. This is just observation. It's comedy. So I mean,
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
therapy session. Yeah, it's this is legit and needs to have that so she doesn't go off the deep end.
there's no
Yeah.
reason to.
If you never hear from me again, it's because Keir Starmer had me arrested. You'll have to get bail money.
So you need to have your boyfriend take a picture of the cuffs as they're putting them on you. That way, everybody will know, and we'll be able to we'll get a GoFundMe page and we'll get you out of jail. So.
Fabulous! I'm glad to hear it.
It works for MS-13 gang members. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Like to help out those in need or think they're in need. You know, I mean, we'll do what we can.
Yeah. Thankfully, it hasn't gotten that bad here. Well, then again, if you show up at a rally in Washington, D.C., sometimes they'll arrest. There are people that were in jail in solitary confinement for like 3 years because they were at a rally where people went into the Capitol. Yeah. Back in 2021, just before Trump left office, that whole January 6th thing.
Oh yeah, I remember.
But yeah, those I don't know how many people there were. Do you remember, Richard? Do you remember?
Oh, it was several hundred. I mean,
Yeah.
they were arresting people and putting them there whose cell phone showed them to be in the area when they try. Yeah,
It's all that
were
matters.
getting them for that because it's just like, oh, we got proof you were there. Do you really?
They might have
Is
just
that
been in a
what-
hotel.
And they were never charged for anything for 3 years. They just were left to just sit in jail.
And
Wow.
Good.
And in the Fifth Amendment in the Constitution here in the U.S., we have a thing called due process. I think it's mentioned in the Fifth Amendment as well. But it's like they're all jumping up and down over this guy from Maryland that they sent to El Salvador because he was an illegal immigrant, first of all, and second of all, he was a gang member, somebody who was a domestic terrorist organization. And so everybody's jumping up and down that he didn't get due process. Well, first of all, if you're not an American citizen, you don't get due process because
Right.
it's the Constitution. Just like if you're when you lived here, you couldn't own a gun. I mean, there's a lot of things. If you were not a citizen, you were not entitled to certain things covered under the Constitution.
Right.
It's just the way it goes. But these people, due process didn't mean anything to them for throw them in jail.
Yeah, there's a big class action lawsuit now.
I bet there is.
$50 billion was the last thing I saw.
This is
You know what? I'll pay my taxes for that because they deserved it. They got
100%.
just hosed.
Yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah, that's why my rule of thumb is I'm an introvert anyway. I don't go to these rallies. I don't do any of that stuff.
Hate crowd.
Yeah. I don't like crowds because you always got to pee somewhere along the line. I mean,
I see the big demonstrations in London on the TV, and I'm just like, I don't care what it's for, but I just couldn't be at that crowd. And if you want to get out quickly, you've got to fight your way out of a crowd. And actually, there's not enough toilets en route.
Exactly. I see even the New Year's Eve celebration, like in New York with the apple drops or whatever. And it's like, I have no desire to be around 40,000 people.
No.
It's not
Bring back
funny how the older we get, the more important the porta potties become.
Right. Now that's why I love lockdown. There was nobody about, and you could just get on your business without bumping into people or crowds and stuff. And I know a lot of people hated lockdown, but it was very special for me. I didn't have to cope with the public.
I live out in the country, so I don't see hardly anybody anyway. So it's nice.
Oh, lovely.
Now, were they arresting people that were out in public without a mask on, or in your area when that happened?
They were arresting people for just sitting on a bench in the
Yeah.
fresh air.
Jeez.
I remember seeing a video somewhere in California. Of course, California, they're extra weird out there anyway. But but they were just on the beach, just sitting there eating lunch or whatever, and the cops came up and harassed them because they didn't have a
Yeah.
mask on.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So I mean, it's just, and really, I think that's kind of emboldened them to continue to harass people for no good reason. But it's
Yeah, I think things have changed a lot since lockdown. I think because people were worried that, with the restrictions and whatever they were putting in place during lockdown, people were saying, well, let's hope they get rid of those restrictions once they're gone, because we know what the governments are like. If they start putting things in place, then they're going to stop us doing things in the future. So it was, the world's gone crazy.
Yeah. And we had talked about this many times. It was almost like a test to see how much people would put up with. It's like we're gonna fire you if you don't get the jab. We're gonna make
Right.
sure that you don't leave the house. If you go to, we're gonna close your businesses. So many people lost their businesses during those couple of years. It was awful.
Restaurants were just inundated. There are so many doors closed on restaurants. It's just really sad.
Yeah, I know. Financially, I think a lot of people really struggle. I think the one good thing to say about our government then, they were doing so. Like, for example, I'm self-employed, so you had to fill in. I can't remember what it was called, but you had to fill in this online form thing and basically declare how much tax you'd paid in the last financial years or whatever, and then they would give you money based on that to keep you going over lockdown. But however, you had to declare it the next tax year what you got from the government. So so they were giving us, or some people, they were looked after by the government, but not everybody. People in England will say, well, actually, but difference. Obviously, not everyone's in the same boat. But they did look after us quite well financially, I think, and businesses were kind of looked after.
Has inflation been a problem in the UK? I mean, because
Oh,
with that kind of thing, they have to print a bunch of money, just like
Yeah.
here in the US. They had the same thing. They printed a bunch of money, which causes a super influx of money in the system, and that just causes inflation. So I just kind of curious if that did the same thing.
I hear a lot of stories about how expensive eggs are in America now and stuff, and the prices and stuff have gone through the roof here. You'd think our chickens lived in penthouses for the price of eggs here too.
Exactly.
It's every time I go into the shops these days, you'll hear somebody go, "How much?" Because it's just everything's like, what? Why is that so expensive now? All our fuel bills have gone up. Just everything. Our council tax has gone up. Just everything. Yeah, I mean, people. The cost of living crisis is huge here.
Yeah, well, over here, you kill 140 million chickens. Supply and demand, it has a tendency to screw things up.
Bird flu.
Right.
Yeah, that was another crisis averted. The bird flu. It's like,
Oh, you mean with the fake tests and one of them has it, so you got to kill all of your entire, 10
well, that's why they culled so many, right? They culled like millions and millions. So
millions, 140 million was the last number I saw.
incredible.
Like,
We'll be trading in eggs soon. I'll give you five eggs for a bag of straws.
But I've got a gold coin. I don't need a gold coin. I need eggs.
Eggs. Give me the eggs.
Have you seen the conspiracy theory now? I guess it's a joke, but some people are like too stupid here in America anyway. But the JD Vance, right after he met with the Pope, the day after he died, so they were wondering who flipped him.
Yeah. I did an Instagram video about that, and a lot of people were going, ha ha, because obviously he didn't kill the Pope. The Pope had been very sick for a very long time. He was 88 years old. Everyone knew he'd been ill. They wheeled him out to meet JD Vance. And people are joking, saying, look, even the Pope could cope with meeting him, and that's why he died. It's a joke. People seem to have forgotten how a sense of humour works. And people are going, I can't believe you're so ridiculous saying that JD Vance killed the Pope. And it's just like, have you had a sense of humour bypass? Of course it didn't. Oh my God.
Apparently they did. Well, you think about and when Richard and I were younger anyway, I know we're a little bit older than you are, but it's like when we were younger, we had people like George Carlin and who is the oh my gosh, and of course it's all slipping my mind now, but a lot of the stand-up comedians were extremely offensive. I mean, they would say use words and call people names, and there was all kinds of stuff, and it's like, and people laughed in the 70s.
Joan Rivers, for example.
Yeah,
Lenny Bruce, that was one.
Lenny Bruce, there's one.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, Joan Rivers always used to speak her mind.
Yeah.
She didn't care. I mean, she'd be turning in a grave right now if she knew that people were going, "Oh, you can't say that anymore. You can't say that anymore." It's just like she'd be like, "Oh, police!" You know, she would totally just go crazy.
I know.
But I don't. Yeah, it's. I've even got a friend the other day, and I think I said the expression. I was talking to them, and I was just like, I said, "Oh, you know, it ain't over till the fat lady sings." And they went, "You can't say that anymore." I went, "Oh my God, what are you, my mum?" I said, "All the language police." I said, it's just an expression. I said, and quite honestly, the fat lady might have a thyroid problem. And they're like, "Well, you can't say that." And I said, "Look, I've got a thyroid problem. I'm allowed to say it."
There you go. Well, even if you didn't, for goodness sake, it's like
I know, it's ridiculous.
What was that singer Lizzo? Remember how
Oh, yeah.
when you said fat lady, it reminded me of Lizzo.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was a picture of her. This is probably a year and a half ago now. There was a picture of her on the beach in France, and she had this thong on. And it's like, if anybody should wear a thong, it should not be her.
What? You could tell there was a thong. It hadn't totally disappeared.
It did not disappear. You could tell there was a little bit left. But all the captions said, and I'm like almost infamous for posting terrible memes, but it's like I posted this. It says the worst thing to happen to France's beaches since Normandy. And man, I got an influx of people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't fat shame. You're just a jerk." And it's like, so block me. I mean, I don't care. I wish I cared. I wish.
Well, the funny thing was, though, all those, I think, hasn't she taken a load of Ozempic now and she's lost a ton of weight? So, I mean, what's all this body beautiful malarkey when they're just injecting themselves with Ozempic every 5 minutes, and now they're all anorexic. I mean, Christina Aguilera, she put on the pounds, and now all of a sudden, I mean, she's lost half herself, and it's all down to Ozempic. And beforehand, she was like, "Oh, the body beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you if you're fat, you're beautiful." And now it's like, "Oh no, Ozempic's come along. Let's all be skinny now." So it's just it's very.
Yeah, and until they start having health problems from the Ozempic, then it'll be something else.
Well, I've heard that it kind of like almost eats away your muscle structure. You really have to work out hard in order to keep any kind of actual good weight. I mean, it doesn't just eat the fat away. I mean, then you end up looking like a bodybuilder or something. You end up looking kind of like a long distance runner after a while. You're just kind of like skin hanging on you.
Well, Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy Osbourne's wife, she's a prime example of that, and she now looks like she's a zombie. I mean, her face is so drawn, she's very, very skinny, and she's now saying, "I can't put the weight back on," which goes to prove you're going to have your side effects. You're going to lose so much weight, you're going to look like you're sick.
Yeah.
And that's not body beautiful.
No, and Richard and I've talked about this many times. Especially America, we are so over medicated about everything. We are the number one prescription consumer in the absolute world, probably more than the rest of the world combined, because it's advertised on TV, and of course that kind of feeds into the mind of the person that says, "I think I've got that." So,
right?
You got a problem? Take a pill. It'll be high. Can I help you?
When I lived in America, I remember seeing the commercials on TV, and it would like, "Ask your doctor if you can have this drug and that drug," and I'm like, "What?" I thought we'd never even dream of doing that in England, But it's almost, as you said, putting the mindset. Have I got this illness? Oh, I better go to my doctor and get these drugs. And that's, as you say, that's what America's sort of commercials with the big pharma leads you to, going, "Oh, I must have that drug because it says that I'm going to, walk on water or whatever afterwards." But it's big pharma nonsense, it's just repackaging of paracetamol or something.
Well, that's why they have, all the big wigs in those pharmacy in the Pfizer and some of the others. It's like they're all billionaires. And because of that specifically. And, it's just part of the medical problem. But yeah, everybody, it's just so much easier. I think Richard talked about that. It's like, it's so much easier. Take a pill.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. We still got to get to JD Vance. JD Vance, he liked to take pictures too, right? You posted something about this.
He was a very naughty boy. He's not the son of God, as they said on that film. But no, he went to the Sistine Chapel, which I have been to. Have you guys been to the Sistine Chapel?
No.
Okay. So there's a lot of people seem to. There's the Vatican and then there's Rome. The Vatican is a city in itself. In fact, it's its own little country as well. Yep. And so people are getting confused about that. So let's put it this way. J.D. Vance went to the Vatican and then he went to the Sistine Chapel, and there are signs everywhere at the Sistine Chapel. Now, Michelangelo painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, everything. And when I was there with my partner, this priest came in and did a little service. He sounded like Eddie Murphy. He was really funny. I was trying not to laugh because he kept going, "Amen." And, and you're meant to be really respectful in there. And I was like trying to muffle my laugh, thinking, oh my God. But anyway, no, it's the most beautiful place, very spiritual and everything. And then you're told not to shout, and you've got to speak very quietly like this when you're walking. And it's respect. And obviously, photography is not allowed at all. Now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's because it's for tourists. They want to get the money. They want you to buy the pictures rather than take it." Yeah. And a lot of money has been spent restoring that Sistine Chapel. But going back to J.D. Vance, he had pictures taken in the Sistine Chapel, which is it's disrespectful as far as I'm concerned. It's when there are signs everywhere saying don't take pictures, it's a sort of a spiritual place. That's where they choose the next pope, so when people go, it's not a holy place. Well, I disagree there, quite honestly. But J.D. Vance, the thing is, because he'd made that comment about Zelensky not wearing a suit to the White House, everyone's trying to find holes to pick in him now, going, well, you're not so perfect yourself, are you?
I think he'd be. That's funny. I think you get used to it here because it's like there's very few places. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head where you can't take pictures like that. Of course, we don't have history that goes back like 1,000, 1,500 years, 2,000 years, like you have over, especially in the Rome.
Well, a lot of people were on my Instagram going, well, who cares? Who cares? And it's just like, well, you should care. This is history, and this is why not all the historical buildings, but a lot of historical buildings in America are sort of knocked down to make a Walmart. And it's just, if they didn't do that, you would still have some history.
Yeah.
My friend lived in a beautiful, I think it was like 150-year-old house in Dallas. Beautiful, real lovely character and everything. And then the developers came through, knocked them all down, make McMansions. Mm-hmm. These soulless massive houses, just these massive McMansions that you're not going to get some tour guide in 200 years going, well, this McMansion was built by Michelangelo. It's not, is it? It's not. It's by some massive developer.
And we had to take out a cemetery in order to build all this.
Right.
There's a place down in Tampa. I just heard this story yesterday that they had built Tropicana Field in I think it's in St. Petersburg, where the baseball team plays. Anyway, there was built over an old cemetery, an old African American cemetery that they closed it 100 years ago, and they weren't aware that there was still bodies left. But they did one of those LiDAR things where they could ground penetrating radar, and they found, I think 7 or 8 bodies that are still under the concrete at Tropicana Field. It's like, oh my gosh. But I think it's the desire for money.
Totally
cares about the past.
And you wonder why that America has troubles. It's because you've built everything on Indian land. The spirits are coming to get you now. That's what it is.
But yeah, where I live, this is a big Cherokee Indian area. This is the beginning of the Trail of Tears where they moved in. So there's a lot of stuff. There's burial grounds, and we have Indian mounds which were burial grounds for the Etowah Indians that lived in my area. Yeah. So it's really kind of neat. I mean, and I would really hate it if they bulldozed all that and put up a freaking Walmart or something. I mean, that would
Because
be.
I think each place has got a price. You know what I mean? If people get offered enough money, they build all over it, all over it. So it's all money, 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 money. Unfortunately, that causes these things.
Speaking of money, Katy Perry.
Nice
Wow,
segue.
you are just almost smooth today.
I must have had good sleep last night. I don't know. Speaking of money, anyway, she took that trip on that phallic
Blue
rocket.
Origin.
Yeah, Blue Origin. But anyway, she's kind of upset at the backlash that she's gotten since she came back with that daisy in her hand, going,
Oh, goodness
"I
sake.
feel closer to love now." And she kissed the ground after being in the ship for 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And they weren't even in space. They were on the edge of Earth, where they can feel weightlessness.
Yeah.
You know, if they
They
had
didn't have helmets.
if it only takes 10 minutes to get into space, how come those astronauts that were stuck up there for 8 months didn't get rescued quicker? If it only takes 10 minutes to get into space, they were on the edge of Earth's atmosphere where you can experience weightlessness. They are not astronauts. So I'm on a rant again. You've started me off again. They are not astronauts. They are overprivileged women that now think that they're closer to God or something ridiculous because they just went up on an expensive fairground ride. The absolute, and it's such an insult to like Sunny. Was it Sunny Williams who was the woman that was stuck up there for 8 months?
Yeah.
Is that? I know it's Sunny. I can't remember.
Her and somebody else. Weren't there two of them?
Oh, there's a couple of guys, but she was the female up there.
Right.
But I don't know if you've noticed when they got rescued eventually. She probably got this Sunny woman. I can't remember her surname. Sorry, she only got literally 5 minutes of headlines. 5 minutes of headlines. She'd been stuck up there for 9 months. She's a qualified astronaut. She's been training for years. Only NASA can pick astronauts to go up there. Mm-hmm. And Katy Perry now classes herself as the same thing. Are you having a laugh?
It's insane.
Well, we train. Oh, I love this part though. We trained for it 3 days. Okay. It's like you're gonna go skydiving, so you go and take the class before you go up and jump out of a plane. It's the same thing. And it was also mentioned that Bezos's girlfriend is well endowed. She purchased them. We'll just put it. If they would have gone up much higher, they weren't in a compressed. It wasn't compressed enough, and we're talking. Balloons because they're not made to do that.
No, exactly. They're delusional. Katy Perry. Oh, God, just. And the thing is, a lot of people are going, well, why are these women getting so much backlash? And when Jeff Bezos went up, or Bezos, whatever his name is, he didn't get any backlash. No, because he didn't come back saying, I'm closer to love. I can see the world is being destroyed. And he didn't come back. He just went up there, came back, got on with his life. He didn't talk about rubbish. And that's why these women got backlash, because they came back like complete airheads.
Yeah.
It was supposed
to be space cadets.
Space cadets. Space cadets. There you go.
That's it. Need to write that one down. That's good.
Yes, it was all supposed to be helpful for womankind, and all they did was make a damn joke out of it and blew it way out of proportion. And it's like, okay, you didn't help anybody.
When the first man on the moon, it was like a giant leap for mankind and all this. And these women come back and it's a giant leap backward for womankind.
No kidding.
You're right. It did make him kind of look. But I do think that the people that were stuck on the space station, I believe that was political. The reason, I don't know why Biden didn't want to go do that, but once Trump got in office,
I can tell you why, because he didn't want to give any kudos to Musk, who had been with Trump on his campaign, and he was going, I'm not giving them any more due than they've already got.
But couldn't NASA somehow put together something to where they
don't have their own rockets anymore?
And plus the fact NASA, they do a rotation thing, so they don't have to wait until probably years before they go up there with a spaceship or whatever to rescue them. And Elon Musk was like, no, this isn't really acceptable. I'm going to be using my company, and I'll go and get them. So he did. And you're right, it was a political thing that they were stuck up there, and that's a shame, really, because imagine being stuck in space and what that does to your body for being there for that long, and your mental agility and stuff. You need to be decompressed and go in some kind of therapy after that, I would have thought.
Yeah, and well, not only that, I think it does. It has something to do with your density of your bones. It affects a lot of things.
Yeah.
And just from being weightless in and of itself, and that's a long time.
Well, they couldn't walk when they get back. If you saw them when they were taking them
Yeah.
off, they were in, essentially a gurney of a
Yes,
sort,
right.
wheelchair.
Katy Perry fell to the ground too, but oh no, she was kissing the ground. That's what it was.
She thought she was
should
the
have
Pope.
fallen higher to the ground to kiss it. Is what I'm saying. Is open that hatch a little sooner than you did when you weren't supposed
Did
to.
you see that? Did you
Oh
see
Lord,
that?
yes.
Open from the inside, and then they went no, or they tried to hide it up, but the damage was done. You're like,
That's all the training, though. I mean, that's all.
the 3 minutes of training that they had. It's embarrassing, actually. I mean, it is embarrassing to be a woman when there are women like this.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that could look at them and go, oh, aren't they role models for women in the future? Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Nah.
There's not too many men role models or women role models. We just have a terrible generation of people coming up now. It's like one day they're going to be the old wise people, and I just cannot imagine it.
I think they dumbed down television an awful lot with all this reality TV and the stupid programs, and it is literally all dumbing down the masses. Here in England, it's exactly the same thing. It's all reality TV, like Love Island and all this rubbish. It's all about people with no brains, sort of, having liaisons on television or whatever. And then we had Big Brother and whatever. We had Mickey Rourke that came over to be in Big Brother the other day, and he got kicked out for being sexist and whatever, or homophobic or something. And it's just what really annoys me is these producers get these people in for these shows to make them explosive, and then when they are explosive, the producer, no, don't want that behavior. Well, that's why you got him, wasn't it?
Or they go, we didn't know they would say stuff like that. It's York, for crying out loud. Where have you been? What rocket?
Oh, for goodness sake. Oh man, we are again. Time flies when we have Charmaine on, and we are way over, and we're just going to have to make it up later. So we'll just do the rest of the story at the end of the show.
We'll be done. This is almost 2 segments long.
Exactly. Where can people reach out to you if they want to interview you on their podcast or even have you do stand up in the UK? We have people listen to the podcast in the UK. So
good. Well, you can find me Charmaine Davies. That's Charmaine, and then Davies with an E on Facebook and on Instagram. I've got to have a look what I am on Instagram. I've totally forgotten
I don't remember
who I am. Oh, Be Anything 25 is my handle on Instagram, and come and join me. And I'm being a bit quiet. I've been a bit poorly with the stand up. I'm not poorly with the stand. I've been a bit poorly, so I've not been doing much stand up lately. But hopefully that will change in the very near future.
Good. You are one funny lady, and we appreciate having you on. It's always a pleasure. So,
thank you.
When he said, "Are you available Saturday?" I went, "Why?" For Charmaine, yes. What time? I don't care. I'll get up at 5. Just to see Charmaine. I'll get up early.
He didn't say that. He said, "I'll get up at 5 for her." He won't get up that early for me, but yeah.
No.
It's been a delight talking to you. Sorry, I've overrun and waffled on far too much.
You're fine. You're fine. You are extremely entertaining, so it's good. It's all good. Thank you very much for coming on. When we come back, we will have the rest of the story, and maybe we'll squeeze in another story at the end. So hang in there. We will be right back.